This is going to be a long and interesting offseason for every NFL team, but specifically for the Las Vegas Raiders, there's a lot of things I want this team to do, and I am excited for it moving forward. I do think that there's some things specifically in the draft. I think, for instance, there are three, count them, uno, dos, tres, game changers on defense that the Raiders need to absolutely draft. And yes, I do understand that rebuilding an entire defense takes more than one offseason, but it's not like you're going into this offseason completely empty-handed. I mean, you have Max Crosby. Denzel Perryman has proven to be a guy that is just a leader on your defense, Max Crosby's the leader on your defense. Denzel Perryman's a guy that you can build around at least for another year or two. Also, Nate Hobbs is one of the best slot corners in the league when given the opportunity. I think Trayvon Moehrig hopefully is going to take a big step in year 3 potentially, but overall, I got to be honest, the number one defensive game changer that the Raiders definitely need to draft if he falls there, and I know this is the least likely scenario that could happen. There we go. Will Anderson Jr. So, yes, Will Anderson Jr. is probably going to go number 1 to the Chicago Bears. Probably, if he doesn't go there, he's most likely going to go to the Arizona Cardinals at 4. Fine. Whatever it is, this is at the end of the day, in the unlikely scenario that this man does not go to the Raiders, fine. Like, if he doesn't go to the Bears, if he doesn't go to the Cardinals, maybe he can go to the Raiders. I don't know, but he's clearly should be the number 1 player on their draft board. What do you think all these NFL GMs do? They just completely skip over players that they don't think they can get? No, they put them down on their list. They're honest about it. They realize, okay, this player's probably going to go before there. Fine. Okay, then they plan out the rest of the list. This is just our list saying, hey, if they could draft him, it would definitely help out their defense. I mean, you look at a guy, that had 17 and a half sacks his sophomore year at Alabama. Yes, I know that Nick Saban's defense is definitely different, but this man was the main reason that it was different over these last couple of seasons. I mean, you also talk about the fact this man is a junior. Also, let's go back to his sophomore year. Over 100 tackles as an edge player. Good Lord. Good absolute Lord. Also has 17 total tackles for loss as well as 10 sacks this last year. Also had a pick 6. Like, this man, you want to talk about rebuilding a defense, this is the guy you do it with. Like, literally, him and Max Crosby would wreak havoc for decades. Maybe at least a decade. It would be a lot of fun to watch, and I think that he needs to be the number 1 player on the radar. If he goes, so be it. I mean, you're probably expecting that with the Raiders selecting there all the way down at 7? You're probably expecting, okay, he's going to be gone. Defensive game changer number 2 that needs to be drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders. Defensive tackle, Jalen Carter. Yes, probably a little bit of the same thing with Will Anderson Jr. Probably going to be gone. I understand all that. I would say this one's a little bit more likely of a scenario because Jalen Carter, like, I know teams are just tantalized with teams like the Chicago Bears are just mesmerized with the ability of Jalen Carter. I am too, but I think that if we're going to look at history as any indicator, I think that they go Will Anderson Jr. more likely in this situation. Potentially they go Jalen Carter. Either one, fine, if and or. But at the end of the day, I mean, the Cardinals probably going to pick up the other player. But don't get me wrong. The Raiders would not be unwise, or no, would not be dumb. They would not be dumb to go up and trade for this guy either. I mean, you're talking about a guy that had 3 sacks last year as a junior for Georgia, won a national title, back-to-back national titles actually. Also had 7 tackles for losses, 30 as well as 32 total tackles. Like, his stats aren't amazing, but just turn on any tape of Jalen Carter and you're just like, he's unblockable. Like, you just, as an interior offensive lineman, you're just praying to God he doesn't prey on you, because this man, he's going to be a menace for absolute years to come. Needs to be high up on the Raiders draft board. Again, a little more likely, in my opinion, that Jalen Carter falls, but it is what it is. And finally, the most likely, and when I say most likely, I'm referring to, again, the most likely, the player that we could most likely see in a Raiders uniform come draft day, when it's all said and done, defensive game changer number 3, cornerback Joey Porter Jr. Now, Joey Porter Jr., if you watch any amount of tape on this man, he's Sauce Gardner 2.0, or at least he's heading in that direction. Yes, only had 1 interception in college. You know what? I don't care. I absolutely don't care one tiny bit, not even the slightest, because he's 6'2", $195. He plays like an alpha dog, and that's exactly what the Raiders need on the outside. Yes, I know we saw some good things from Sam Webb. I know that that Hall played well last year as well. I know that we saw, Nate Hobbs, was injured for a little bit of the year, but also at the end of the day, we need a shutdown corner. Like, I understand that Max Crosby is going to get after the quarterback, but if you can have another guy back there that you trust to just go and shut down the other team's opposing number 1, fine. I'm all for it. You absolutely go ahead and get it. So I think at the end of the day, Joey Porter Jr. is one of those guys that he's got everything you want, the size, the speed, that little bit of swagger to be the number 1 alpha dog on the field. And I think that he needs to be a guy that is seriously considered to be drafted if the Raiders are in fact going to draft a defensive player. Yes, you can go, Tyree Gibson or whatever, the other edge rusher. Yes, you could go with a lot of other guys here that you would potentially want to see go. Yes, Christian Gonzalez, Cam Smith, Lucas Van Ness. I mean, there's so many guys here that you would really want to see them go with. But at the end of the day, I think Porter Jr. is going to be a really good player. Tyree Wilson, excuse me, not Gillespie. I've got other players on the mind today. But yes, Tyree Wilson, Jalen Cutter, all those guys. Yes, at the end of the day, I think Joey Porter Jr. needs to be the guy, especially if you were trying to rebuild this defense and finally get it into a position where you're confident in its ability to stop opposing offenses. But that's it. Those are 3 game changers on defense we think the Raiders need to draft in the 2023 NFL Draft. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. We greatly appreciate all the support that we've gotten and continue to get. You guys are all truthfully awesome. We love every single one of you. Down in the description below, you'll find all of our social media platforms. So give us a like and a follow there. Also remember to give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put it in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think about the 3 game changers on defense we think the Raiders need to draft in the 2023 NFL Draft.